It's time for Let's Get Digital Treasure Coast with digital marketing experts Megan Nager and Corey Turner. Let's Get Digital Friday, marketing for the modern age. And now, here are your hosts.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. It's Friday. Everyone's ready to party.
Yes. Labor Day weekend.
Oh, and
Friday
it's Labor Day
here.
weekend.
This is a big time.
It's a big time. I'm Megan Nager.
And I'm Corey Turner.
And we are the owners of Wake and Make Media and your hosts of your favorite show in the entire world, Let's Get Digital.
My favorite, absolutely.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Quickly to the top.
Yes. So we thank you for joining us. We're, again, super excited to be here. And last week's episode was more of like an intro. We introduced ourselves and then we discussed the importance of creating a digital footprint, aka getting your brand and or business online and in front of as many people as possible. And then we discussed 10 important things you can do today in order to get your business or brand seen by as many people as possible. And I just wanted to recap those 10 things because if you missed last week's episode,
which would be hard. I don't know who would have missed it, but
Exactly, because everyone in the world, I'm sure, is tuning in. But if you did miss it, we gave some pretty cool or useful free tips about basically things you could do right now, this second, on your own to make your business stand out more if you haven't already done them. So just to recap, so you can implement these today. Oh, I did want to say, if you did miss our episode, or if you ever do miss our episodes, or you want to just write something down, because we're going to go over some like technical stuff at some point during our episode. So we have put our podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you listen to podcasts, and just search Let's Get Digital and all of it's up there. So yes, you're welcome.
So tune in anytime you need,
Anytime.
On demand.
Exactly.
But you hear it first here.
Exactly. So make sure to tune in here first. Okay. So these are the 10 steps to take that you can do right now. And the first one, I hope you've done already. If you haven't, and if you're a brand new brand or business, then it's perfect, because this is the first thing you should always do. You should get to know and specifically define your audience. So if you're selling, I don't know, if you're selling like lawn chairs to people in Martin County, it's going to be different than someone who's selling like, I don't know,
pencils
to
people in San Diego, California.
Exactly. So you got to make sure you know your audience. And also, if there's another business in your area that does something similar, you need to, which gets us to number 2, emphasize your value proposition, which basically just means emphasize what's going to differentiate you from others in the space that you're in. And make up your prospects' minds that you're the provider to go with. So if you have like 2 lawn chair companies, I guess we're going with lawn chairs today.
We're doing lawn chairs. It's Labor Day weekend. Let's do this.
There we go. So for instance, like lawn chairs, maybe your lawn chairs are, I'm really pulling this out of my butt, to be honest. So just go with me. Okay. So your lawn chairs came from, they're all bamboo and they came from Nepal. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. It sounded great.
Yeah.
So I'd get one of those, but make sure to emphasize that, because that's a really unique thing. And I highly doubt that other people in the space are going to have lawn chairs from Nepal, or say you specifically cater to one group of audience, like a very specific group of people. So you say, we sell lawn chairs to millennials in Stewart, Martin County. So just make sure it's as specific as possible, because of course there's going to be, unless you're in like the most rare niche industry in the world, I'm sure there's something else that exists out there. And so you have to explain why someone should go with you as opposed to someone else. Like even with us with marketing, there's tons of other marketing companies in this area, other areas we've lived in, and we love to work with them and never want to necessarily like compete or put us above them or vice versa, because at the end of the day, all of us have very specific and different skills and niches, basically.
Yeah, you could work together.
Exactly.
I have a quick antidote for that.
I love that.
Yeah. So I when I was first out of college, I did marketing for an underwear and sock brand.
Oh.
And they had some cool stuff. It was done nice. But but they had very big giants that they were trying to compete with, and they weren't differentiating themselves in any way. They weren't trying to make themselves, they weren't showing off why it's like a different cotton or material. It was just kind of like, look, this is us. It's just like Hanes, but twice as much.
Right.
And that company went bankrupt so quickly. So just, learn from your mistakes.
Exactly. And I remember
learn from our mistakes.
and our mistakes. We've definitely messed this up too before, because when we first started doing this, at first we were very specific because we're filmmakers. So we would create productions, series, music videos, full features. And then when we first got into marketing, we're like, hey, we kind of do it all, because we really do. Between the two of us, we cover a lot of aspects. We've both worked in various different positions, and we've learned a lot of different things in marketing. So between both of us, we kind of cover it all. And we quickly realized that saying, hey, we're marketers who literally do everything is like incredibly vague. And people would, when we were even trying to get clients, people are like, what do you mean you do everything? Like
everything for everyone.
Yeah. And for everyone. We didn't define like what industries. And even if you can work with different industries, that's fine. But there needs to be something else specific that you can emphasize about yourself that is going to make you pop out. And we're really good at doing that. So if you ever need some sort of like brand honing, or mixing, like basically defining your brand and your audience, we are great at that. So hit us up.
wakeandmakemedia.com.
There you go. Okay. Then number 3, we got create a website, because this should be like a no-brainer. But we have noticed, we said this last time, no hate, but there are a lot of companies, we even saw more this week, that we've wanted to work with in this area, and they don't have websites. And a couple actually that I went to this week, I wanted to get a hold of a couple people, and it took me to their Facebook page, and the Facebook page was completely inactive. And so it literally, I had to go down a rabbit hole to try to just get a phone number to use to get the service. And at the end of the day, I didn't even I gave up, because I was like, this should have taken me 2 seconds.
Right.
That
You're just making it more difficult on your customers, and that's the last thing you want to do.
Exactly.
You want to get rid of that friction. And kind of, attached to having your own website is, don't have a Yahoo or a Gmail email address.
Oh.
Like the first thing that screams unprofessional is...
Okay, well, to be fair, Mr. Professional, we for a while had a Gmail email
it's
address.
True. I know, and I'm ashamed.
Well, no, because it's okay. I don't think that's like a deal breaker, especially in the beginning of your brand or business, because we know it costs money to get an email address.
It depends on how you build your website.
Exactly. There's lots of ways to do it, but it can be more expensive to have an email address at your company. So we understand that. But if you can eventually get an email address that's not a Gmail, Yahoo, etc., again, like the second I see something, even if it's subconsciously, I'm like, oh, wow, that's a legit company. I would trust that over someone with like a Gmail email.
Right.
That rhymes. Okay. So got your email. Okay. Now, and this is the topic of this episode, we're going to talk about getting on social media, because you have to get on social media. If you're not, you have to promote yourself and your business. So we're talking Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok. There's so many. We're going to go over that today. Number 5, start blogging. Because, and if you don't write, there's like tons of services that are really inexpensive. You can get some blogs made. Have to be careful though, because some of them are written really poorly. Again, we write blogs, but just keeping the content on your website up to date and constantly going in and checking it. Because every time you do that, it's like saying hi to Google, and Google's then going to put your page higher and higher online, because you are actively engaging with them.
And it gives something industry specific to put on your website, because there's only so many words you could put on your About Us or your tagline or anything like that. So if you have a blog page, that gives you so much real estate to put something specific about your business or specific about your industry, and just kind of dive in deeper and get those keywords that SEO is going to, or that Google is going to find, which will optimize your search engine.
Exactly.
SEO.
So yeah, for instance, like the blogs help because very quickly, okay, say you are a fisherman and you want to take people fishing. That's what you're trying to get clients, trying to take people fishing. Yeah. So if you keep blogging about, fishing, Martin County, Stewart fishermen, etc. If you're writing blogs like that, the more you're writing those, they are called keywords that describe you and your business, the more Google is going to associate those with you. So you are then going to become like the fisherman in Martin County, and that will 100% get you more customers because you're going to come up first online.
Right. And you could get into your blogs get into more specific things like best charter boat in November in Martin County or something very super specific like that someone might Google, and then you go straight to the top for free. Basically, you don't have to advertise.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Number 6, make sure your business is on Google. Just go to Google My Business and register it. Very easy, but you have to do this if you have a business. If you have a home address, that's okay, right? What you gave a suggestion about home addresses, you can buy a...
Yeah, you can get a remote address, and it's like somewhere that mail can be sent to you. It's like $10 a month. Mail gets sent there, so it looks like a legitimate business, and then you don't have your Google My Business address as your home, which could be very bad.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
People showing up.
Don't put your home address.
You have when someone Googles your business and they show the map view, it's literally of your home. So yeah, just if you work out of your home, which is totally cool, or you work out of a coffee shop, just pay $10 a month and do the remote address.
Yes. And a lot of people do that, especially today. So that's totally cool. Mm-hmm. Okay. 7, invest in ads. We're going to do probably more than one episode on this, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but, I would suggest if you haven't done those before, getting someone to help you because they can get a little tricky. But they make a big difference. So you want to make sure they're done right. Number 8, email marketing. Again, we're going to talk about that in a whole other episode, but it's just constantly engaging with your customers, your audience, and keeping them up to date, which also leads you to get more customers. Investing in local publicity, which is always good. Again, we do publicity. We'll, again, do a whole other episode on this, but it will get you to stand out, especially if you're a new company or you have something like new you're rolling out or you're having an event. You could always do a press release that will go out to people, for instance, in Stewart, that says, hey, Bob is starting Bob's Burgers. That's a TV show. But, at 4 p.m., he's going to be open on Saturday. Come get free burgers and beers and whatever, or come get them at a discount, etc. And lastly, you can always offer coupons or free products and or services, which we will be doing. Okay. So now that I spent 20 minutes recapping last week's episode, we're going to focus on social media today.
This is a big one.
It's a big one.
This is a good one for everybody of all ages. You don't want to push it away. I'm too old for, no. I just have a brick and mortar, social media, blah, blah, like this is for everybody. Everybody's on social media.
Exactly. If you're 18 or 85, if you're still running a business or trying to get customers, you should be on social media. Mm-hmm. And because unfortunately, if you're not on social media today, because I know how overwhelming and annoying social media can be, but unfortunately, you're going to be massively missing out on business. And we do know how difficult and overwhelming social media can seem, especially if you're not familiar with it. We hear this a lot from some of our older clients who didn't really grow up with as much technology as we have, or even even Gen Zers, we're millennials, but they grew up with iPads in their hands. So I know as you get older and as you get into the older generations, it seems very foreign, but it's not that difficult. And we're here to simplify it for you. So I don't want you to think of it as this burdensome, annoying thing that you know nothing about and you just can't deal with, because you're missing out, I'm telling you. And so that's why we're going to spend this whole episode simplifying social media. And again, I want to emphasize keeping it simple because it's hard to go over a lot of technical stuff on a radio show. But we're going to give you an overview of the specific social media platforms to pay attention to and what to do to get started.
I'll try to keep it simple.
Corey will try to
go on a tangent if that happens.
But
pull me back.
It's good because Corey's the technical one and I'm the big picture one. So, it's a good balance. But to start, I wanted to share a quote with you that I found from a website called WebFX that I thought explained social media in 2022 very, very well. And it said, as marketing evolves and changes, it seems like there are constantly new platforms and strategies being touted as the next big thing. It is impossible to keep up with all of them, but every once in a while, one comes along that actually delivers the results that they all promise. When that happens, it's important to get on board so that your business does not appear outdated.
I love that.
You like that?
No, it's great. Because it, if we're coming from an older generation, maybe we'll say like, you've been selling people at your storefront this entire time. So basically social media gives you that bullhorn to broadcast that same pitch, the same the same store, the same everything. It just gives you the ability to be seen by hundreds or thousands of people at the same time. So, if you look at it that way, you're saving time by not saying the same thing over and over again, because
very true.
You're doing,
yeah,
it's doing it for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you are, Corey just mentioned this, and we'll talk about it in a little later on, but in terms of like he said, if you've been in a business forever, say you own like a framing company or something, picture frames, and you have been doing this for 30 years, that's great because you already have a well-known business. You already have a brand and brand identity. I'm sure you already have a logo, a name, hopefully a website. And so that makes it so much easier if you already do have an established brand or business to get on social media, because the thing about social media is that you want to keep your brand consistent across all of it, so that when people just glance, for instance, at your Instagram, they say, oh, that's Dave's frames. I know that color. I know the logo, etc. So easy, done. You don't want your social media to be like a mishmash and nobody really can identify the brand or business. So it really is easier for businesses or brands that have been established, because all you have to do is just then start posting. You really have all of your built-in, your look, your feel, what you represent. It's already there for you. So it can get, again, it can get overwhelming, especially because there's so many platforms. And to be honest, a lot of new ones do keep coming up. So it really can feel impossible even to know where to begin. But I want to first talk about why social media is important, which Corey did a really good job of explaining. But one, it really has not totally, but for the most part, replaced old school marketing, such as like billboards, newspapers, I don't know what else
even,
is like,
even like broadcast television.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because it's where people want to be. So I always say that people are voluntarily going on social media multiple times a day, and they're going through and they're looking at pictures, and they're going to be entertained, and they're in a good mood because they're voluntarily doing something that's like stimulating. So if you're
not always. Sometimes I'm like angrily scrolling through Instagram.
But in comparison to like being stuck in traffic at a billboard.
No, you're right. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
So they're there. And I assume they feel a little bit better than, being in traffic.
No, you're right. And also I was thinking, I was like, do I really ever angrily scroll through Instagram? I don't think so.
Yeah, right?
I think I would just put my phone down. Yeah.
So so you're there and they're having a good time, and then boom, they see your brand, and so like something starts moving and be like, oh, you know what, I did need that frame, or that's a beautiful frame, something they're not even like thinking about, and then you're right there in front of them, and then they get up and drive to your frame store, rather than they're already on the road going somewhere. That billboard's cool, immediately forgot about that.
Yep,
and
exactly.
Way cheaper. Billboards are expensive.
And
social media ads, not so much.
I know you and I have gotten like stuck on that. Like we'll be scrolling on Instagram or Facebook or, something. And I've seen products all the time that I'm like, oh, I didn't know I needed that, but I'm going to buy it.
Absolutely.
Like a framed picture of my dog as a king. I didn't know I needed that, but I definitely did.
She actually has that.
But I found this company on Instagram and I was like, that's the cutest thing I've ever seen. Boom. I just dropped like $100 on this framed poster. I'm a picture of my dog dressed as a king. So that being said, it's really great to get in front of as many people as possible. And also in that vein, you can also reach out directly to your customers or other business owners, which obviously you could do before. You could call them, you could email them, but it's like, it's a different type of access in the fact that like, even on social media, like you can directly message any celebrity in the world. I mean, you can really get a hold of, it depends if they respond, but you really can reach out to people that you wouldn't have access to before at all, unless you had their direct phone number. So
it's that community that you feel, a relationship with that celebrity or with that brand that you really wouldn't before, because if you're going into a store, you're just at that store, unless you start getting to know the owner and everything like that. But like with social media, you kind of, that brand is out there and you can see if your values align, and you can see, you feel comfortable. And the more comfortable a customer is with the brand, the more likely they are to spend their money there.
Absolutely. And this brings us to another reason it's important, is that you can easily build your own unique community, which is really cool online. Because say you own a store, and of course you have your customers, maybe you have some like customers you've had since the first day you open the store, they always come in, you have that group. But online, I mean, especially today, like I can't tell you how many people I've met online who I've become like lifelong friends with, which I'm not saying to go, meet up with strangers you meet online, because that sounds really creepy and is never a good idea. But people in our industry who we've connected with, and we have similar, values, interests, etc. I mean, we've formed like so many connections from social media in terms of customers, other business owners, collaborators, artists. I mean, it's really crazy. Like even in Los Angeles, when we were creating more like, more films and TV shows and stuff, even connecting with other artists, directors, producers, which would be the same as connecting with customers, other business owners. For you, if you're not in the film industry, it's amazing. And you can get in touch with all these people instantaneously and invite them to work with you. So,
and your reach is a lot bigger. So, if we come to bring back to like stores, like restaurants or something, if your restaurant might only be seen by local people driving by, or maybe you have like some magazine ads or something that's only going to local people. But if you have this, maybe like this gigantic burrito or something that I love burritos, that is like one of a kind, and you put it on your Instagram page, it might be seen by someone 2 hours away. And you know what? They might love burritos too. It might drive 2 hours to come see you. And they would have never known that your business, your restaurant existed, but it was for that like viral picture.
Absolutely. I mean, for instance, Corey and I, more so Corey, you worked with a food truck when we were in Charlotte, who didn't really have any exposure whatsoever. And Corey took a few awesome pictures and videos. And this guy had, it like blew up his business because he had like amazing food.
Now. Yeah, and it was beautiful meals. I just had to kind of shine a light on it, and it was it was nothing. He was so thankful. I just did it in a little bit, and it really blew up the company. And then I always say that there was 2 trucks, and the other truck said, "No, I don't need this." That truck is no longer.
He isn't?
No, he's not around anymore. And then the truck that I took the pictures, I'm not saying it's all me.
No, of course. But Corey offered
he's got 3 trucks now.
He said, "Hey, let me shoot some free content." Yeah. And this guy said no, which I don't know why. Never turned down free content.
He didn't want to make the food.
Interesting. Yeah. And this other guy, so he's the whole area he was in, he's now the main chef, and people like he has lines wrapped around the building, whereas before nobody knew who he was. He said he had no business. So again, and that was from like really simple, a video and a picture. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
And lastly, before we go to a break, it allows you to grow your brand's reputation, and you can run ads and target specific people, which we'll spend a whole other episode talking about. But it's if you want to find a house, like a stay-at-home mom who loves asparagus and lives in Martin County, you can literally target that person, which is crazy because you cannot do that in the real world unless you're some sort of really creepy stalker, I guess.
Yeah. This is at least less stocky way of doing it.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll be back. We are back.
Welcome back.
I know you guys were anxious to hear from us again. So we are here and we've got you covered. We are talking about all things social media. This is Megan Nager and Corey Turner from Awake and Make Media, and we are solving all of your digital needs. So today we are talking about the importance of social media, and to dive into the second part of the show, we're going to talk about more specifically like the platforms to get started with. So as we've been saying, there are a lot of different social media platforms. But for the sake of today's episode, we're going to highlight the top ones being used by brands and businesses today. Because again, it feels like there's always a new one popping up. You don't know which one to get started with. They're all different. I know it can be a lot.
Once you get into one, the next one's already happening.
Literally, exactly. So it's important to note that each platform is unique in its own way and has advantages and disadvantages. For instance, some platforms are better for sharing pictures, others are better for video or text, others are better for ads, or like, for instance, we've had better results with running ads on certain platforms versus others. So it really just depends what you want to use it for and what you're looking to get out of it. For today's sake, we're going to be talking about 6. We'll talk about Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Pinterest. And again, don't feel like, oh my God, I'm not on social media. I need to get on and I have to join all of these today. No, absolutely not. You don't have to join all of them in 6 years from now. You can just be on one. I suggest, if you can, being on like 2 or 3, but if you don't have the capacity for that, I understand. Social media can be overwhelming, especially if you're not familiar with it.
And we'll go over later how you can triple post, double post. It's not like you have to make something specific for each platform. You can post on one the same thing you post on the other one. So
that's also a good point.
That's a way of doing it.
Absolutely.
We'll go over that.
Yes. Okay. So first, though, I grabbed these stats that I think are going to give you guys a really clear understanding of how many people are on social media, which means how many people you are missing access to if you don't have social media, because those are so many clients just waiting for you and waiting to see your product because they are probably looking for it, or some of them are. So these stats are from socialmediatoday.com. And so, for instance, first, Twitter. So 63% users, 63% of the users on Twitter are aged between 35 and 65. So again, really big range. And that there all types of people are on Twitter. There are 10 million pages of basically, think of it as like 10 million pages of a book is equal to 1 day's worth of tweets. So that's insane. Like, think of a 10 million page book. That's the amount of like tweeting, which if you're not familiar with what a tweet is, it's basically just like a blurb or something you can post on Twitter. That's how many pages of those just in 1 day are being made. So that's how engaged people are on Twitter. And there's 10 times more engagement on tweets with videos, which I think we mentioned last week, but videos really, especially, I mean, really starting in like 2019, videos kind of like, what's it called? Passed over pictures in terms of their efficacy. I can never say the word efficacy.
Yeah. And I would say that, content is king and video is the king of kings. Because it's there's so many things in one. It's more engaging. You can get your point across quicker, and people just love video. Why?
People are lazy too. Like, people don't want to read. Yeah. Like, I don't, like Corey, for instance. Like, he doesn't like to want to sit down and read a whole thing. Like, it's just, I like reading more than he does. So if he's gonna see a video, like, or you're gonna see a blurb, you're probably gonna pass over it. Whereas a video, I know you're gonna be like, oh wow, I gotta watch that. Yeah. Okay.
And one thing about Twitter is the 63% of people from 35 to 65 is that it kind of skews a little older.
It does,
than say the other ones we're about to talk about, like TikTok and Instagram.
Yes, Twitter is good. Again, and we're going to talk about LinkedIn next. But Twitter, LinkedIn, if you're, if you're like, oh, I'm too old for social media, I'm telling you, you're not. And just because the highest is 65 doesn't mean that anyone older than that. There's tons of people on Twitter who are over 70. So LinkedIn is another one. If you are a brand or business of any kind, even if you're not like super active on it, I would argue that having a LinkedIn page could be almost just as important as having a Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think, like, when I am looking to work with a brand or business, I always look for them on LinkedIn. I feel like you don't use LinkedIn as much as I do.
I don't use LinkedIn. I have so many notifications that I have not opened.
Yeah. Which,
no,
but it's because not everyone likes it. I like LinkedIn. I've connected with a lot of people on LinkedIn. even people I went to college with who I didn't know at the time, I've connected with and have done business with. So
yeah, I'd say for business to business,
yes.
If your brand is servicing other businesses, 100% LinkedIn is where you need to be over Facebook.
And we'll get into that too more. But I would suggest setting up a LinkedIn page today if you don't have one, and you don't need to constantly go on. It's not as like, you don't need to
hungry.
Be. Yes, it's a great way of putting it. As like Instagram or Snapchat or Twitter. Like I rarely post on LinkedIn. I just check it and we'll message other business owners or clients. Okay, Snapchat, which we're not going to focus on a ton. I've never been a big Snapchat person. Snapchat is by far, I'd say, probably one of the youngest apps.
Totally,
I mean, in terms of the people on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did a show for Snapchat. And it's very quick paced. You need to constantly, things are flying around, even more so than TikTok, where it's just like, I feel like I'm too old for Snapchat.
I feel like we're like 30 and we feel too old for Snapchat. Yeah. So
it's like the Nickelodeon of social media app.
Exactly. And it's more, you'll get really like cheesy targeted ads on there. It's not my favorite, but again, I have some friends who own brands or businesses and they love Snapchat. That's their main app to use. So we're not going to knock it. You can get stuff out there on Snapchat. A lot of celebrities use Snapchat and promote their products on Snapchat. But in terms of stats, there are basically on average, the number of times this app is opened per user is 30 times a day, which is a lot. So people who are into Snapchat are really into Snapchat.
Yeah, because there's like that messaging function. So people kind of almost use it to replace text messaging.
They do. That's the other thing with Snapchat is they do. They'll send pictures, videos to each other. Yeah. A lot of people I know who are really into it, who aren't business owners, really just it's more of like a social thing, which is fine, but they don't really conduct business on it. It is the second most popular mobile app, though.
That was surprising.
I
didn't know that.
Yeah, so a lot of people are on it, and you can tell by the fact that 4 billion Snapchats are created every single day, which
Insanity.
Is insane. Okay, so now we're going to get into our favorites, which I would suggest focusing on. Actually, aside from LinkedIn, set up a LinkedIn page if you don't have one. So Facebook.
This is where the money's at.
But Facebook, you got to have a Facebook page. So the average time spent per day on the Facebook app is not as much as Snapchat's 10 minutes per day. 60% of all social media users are on Facebook,
billions.
Which is
There's
huge.
Billions of people.
Huge.
Yeah.
And Facebook was like the OG social media app. So, right? I would say.
I mean, MySpace.
Besides MySpace, I guess.
MySpace is no longer.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Facebook
was
like
longevity to keep around.
Exactly. And about 80 million small businesses have Facebook pages on Facebook. So again, if you don't have a Facebook page, majorly missing out.
Your Facebook page will also rank really high for your SEO. So, it's like a Yellow Page ad or a Yellow Page section for yourself.
Yeah.
Like a Yelp page for yourself. Facebook is just important as all those.
Think of it like if you're more used to old school marketing, like the Yellow Pages is a great, like, you have a spot in the Yellow Pages. That's what a Facebook page is.
Yep.
Instagram, another important one. 62% of users on Instagram log in at least once a day. There are 130 million monthly clicks on commercial posts. That's a lot of clicks. And only 14% of US adults have never heard of Instagram. So the majority of people know Instagram and use Instagram. That was the one where we've had a lot of success with. It's kind of changing a little bit, and there are other apps that you'll get more engagement on. But Instagram is also good to have. I'm pretty sure after people will look you up on Facebook, they'll go and look you up on Instagram.
Yeah, and especially because this is a more content hungry, like I said before, this is more a content hungry app. So you're going to have to post more.
Yes.
But the posts don't have to be like Twitter. They don't have to have a lot of words in them. They could just be a picture and a couple words to like caption that.
Absolutely.
So if you have a very photogenic product or brand, maybe you're bring it back to restaurants, or you're like a bakery or something, or maybe a florist, take pictures of those beautiful creations you're making and post them online. And there you go.
Absolutely. If you have like an easy to photograph or film product, it's the best app for that. Like there's so many, for instance, food bloggers we follow who started with like there's one girl who is in Miami. I followed her when she had like 100 something followers, and she has millions now. And she's just this girl who goes around different restaurants and she films the food they make, and that's it. And she is constantly, I mean, she's like constantly working because now brands and businesses will pay her to come and visit the restaurant to create content for them, because by her posting, that brand or that restaurant gets a ton of exposure.
Yeah, she's like the billboard, the modern day billboard, but so much more powerful than an actual billboard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
TikTok is a newer one. I know there's a lot of controversy with TikTok. It is a Chinese owned app. You know, there have been privacy issues with it. I'm on TikTok. TikTok has been very good to me, but I know people's hesitation with it. So if you don't feel comfortable joining TikTok, that's okay. But a lot of people are on it. The average time spent on the app per day is 52 minutes, which is pretty high. There are 2 billion downloads on the App Store and the Google Play Store. And 41% of the users on TikTok are aged between 16 to 24. So again, it is a younger app, but at the same time, I've seen a ton of people on it who are like 70 and up, to be honest. I see them all the time.
Totally. And it's not just like people dancing, like 16-year-olds dancing,
Yeah.
which it gets that rap. There is some good informational content in there. You know, I've learned a lot of things on TikTok. And so, you know, you might sign on for the first time and see this and like, this is not for me. But once it understands what you like, it'll start serving you that, which is great for ad targeting.
Exactly.
Because it knows what you like. So, you know, for a brand, when you start spending money on ads, it knows its audience, so it can, you know, send it to the right audience.
Yeah, the algorithm on TikTok is, it works really well. Like people now are complaining about how Instagram, they're not getting as much engagement, and it's because Instagram is so saturated. But TikTok is newer and more people are joining it. About a year ago, it was crazy. You could reach so many people just by doing one simple post. So that is slowing down. But if you are a new brand or business and really need eyes on your product or service, it's not a bad idea to join TikTok. I mean, there's literally plastic surgeons on there, therapists, like
dog groomers,
veterinarians, janitors. I'm not exaggerating. I've seen every type of professional on TikTok. So first, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, is the first thing to do when getting on social media is, I would say, let's say if you have a Facebook page, congratulations, that's awesome. If you have a LinkedIn page, that's awesome. And then I would say pick one, maybe like, if you have a Facebook page, then I would highly suggest just creating an Instagram, because they're owned by the same company and you can link them together. Whereas every time you post on Instagram, it's automatically posted on your Facebook. So those two, in my mind, kind of go hand in hand. And so, yeah, just pick one. Say you're like, okay, I want to go hard with Instagram, or I want to go hard with Twitter. Make sure that once you get on these, you have a brand identity established. So if you already are an existing brand or business, you already have your brand identity. We talked about like the picture frame company. If you've been in business for 30 years and you're like Joe's Picture Frames, and you are known for your beautiful wood picture frames that you can't find anywhere else in the country, that's your brand identity. So like specifically, brand identity are the visual elements of a brand that includes color, design, logo, and then these identify and distinguish your brand or product in your consumer's mind. So Joe's Picture Frames, they're just like, oh, beautiful wood. They already associate it with that. They know your logo. They know the vibe of the store, the look of it, and the look of your frames. And if you are a brand or business owner, I'm sure that when you first started, or at least I hope, that you sat down and you came up with this. So you came up with hopefully a unique logo, some designs, hopefully a website that all match and encompass the same feel, design, and look. If you haven't thought about this, it is okay, but it is important to like we get really detailed with it. But for instance, like if a business is first starting, because we're going to post on all their social media, so everything needs to be consistent. So we'll pick unique fonts, like 2 or 3. We'll pick unique colors. We'll pick unique, obviously a unique logo, a way of speaking or, communicating with your audience. So everything needs to differentiate you from someone else. And really simple things like color or typography makes a difference.
Totally. Yeah. Especially, I mean, colors are so psychological that, like, there's been studies that the color yellow and red make you hungry. So every fast food restaurant except Taco Bell is yellow and red. And so, maybe if you're doing like an earthy brand, maybe like a brown and a green. Things that your audience, when they see those colors, they psychologically think, oh, this must be a recycling brand, or this must be a food brand because I'm hungry when I see this. Those things are all super important, and you should stick to those colors, those brand guides, because if everything is different, it's just gonna look wild, and it's not gonna
it's not gonna
the message is gonna change.
Exactly, your message is gonna kind of be like muddied down, and a lot of people, when they do start posting on social media, don't keep that in mind. And then their social media profiles kind of just become like a little bit of a mess. And you want to think of your social media profiles as like a direct representation of your brand. So think of it as, okay, if someone goes to my Instagram of the Joe's picture frames, are they gonna glance at it and know, okay, this is a picture frame company, it's Joe's picture frames, it's in this area, and this is what really stands out about them. Like, I should be able to get that very quickly just from glancing at your social media. And that means transferring over and keeping consistent fonts, colors, etc. And also make sure to keep your social media consistent throughout all of your platforms. So if you're posting on like Instagram or Twitter, it should be the same, still use the same colors, etc., etc. For instance, like we work with a client who has like 3 or 4 different brands. And if we do their social media, and if you go to one of their brands, you'd say, oh, this is a really medicinal type of, it's a CBD company. So this is a really medicinal, like more professional, older clientele, medical grade product. And then the other brand that is owned by the same person is like,
and it's actually almost the same products.
And it's, they're almost the same products, but it's like, it's wacky. They're really bright neon colors, lots of patterns, totally different, like funkier logo. And I manage both of those accounts, and I can see the demographic is really different, which is funny because, again, like Corey said, the products are very, very similar, if not the same. And so you'll get someone totally different to the funkier brand than you would the medicinal brand. We've talked about the brand identity, and the importance of it is, which we've basically kind of said, but one, it differentiates you from other competitors in your market. So our social media for Wake and Make Media obviously is going to look different than like, Karen's media empire or whatever. Like, you should glance at our social media and be like, oh, okay, I get their vibe. And then you see Karen's, and hers is totally different. It also helps you build your brand personality, which essentially shows how you communicate the general message of your company and promote your business goals to the public. And there's even different like quizzes and stuff you could take to figure out your brand personality. Some are like quirkier and more fun. Others are more serious. Again, it's just all about defining that and then making that sure that it's consistent on social media.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one of the big things, I edit a lot of ads. And one of the big things is just to keep that brand just, fluid from the first time someone sees you through the ad to the last time they see you when they get your product. If they see an ad and it's like wacky and colorful and everything like that, and then they click your ad and they go to their landing page on your website and it's very sophisticated and like, I don't know, like a law firm or something like that, and they're going to drop off because they're like, I wanted to buy that wacky thing. What is this website? And they would leave. But if they keep it fluid and it just keeps going, even maybe it's the same video, it's just a longer form of that video that they saw in the ad, then they're going to keep going with it. And then they're, purchase that item, and then they get that item and it's just as wacky. And it's, you got to keep it fluid or people are going to be turned off and they're just going to leave.
Yeah. You're going to lose them. Like if someone was drawn to the wackiness, they're not going to then be happy by going to a website and seeing like a very sophisticated, older type of feel. You're going to lose them.
Yeah. And be confused. I'm like, oh, I must have gone to the wrong link.
Exactly. Very confused. So in order to get started on social media, actually, you know what? I think I'm going to give like a quick summary of how all of these apps work if you're not familiar with them. So Twitter is really good for, Twitter is really good for directly reaching people because you can literally tweet at them. So when you write a tweet, you could say like, hey, I don't know, Dave Chappelle, and literally tag him. I want you to try my CBD cream. And will he always respond? No, but Twitter gives you like that super direct access to people. It's also more, I'd say, leans more on text.
Right. Totally. Yeah.
So,
and news, a lot of news.
And news, there's a lot of news on Twitter. Instagram, again, if you have anything that is like you want to show off a product or service and it's more visual, Instagram is definitely the place to be. And again, if you have a Facebook page, I would just create an Instagram if you don't already have one. Recently, Instagram has shifted from being more of a photo-friendly app to favoring video.
Yeah, the CEO even said, we're not a photo sharing app anymore. We're a video sharing app.
And that was basically overnight. And it's because TikTok has done really well and they're trying to compete with it. And TikTok is all video. So what Instagram started as was solely picture. And that's what it was. A lot of like designers or, people in fashion, the fashion industry, jewelry, like all of these really, pretty visual things people would post on Instagram and create like almost a cohesive big picture of their whole account. So everything would be this like finely tuned, really specific curated image. And it still is, but with video being favored more, people have really expanded that and are posting a lot less. So you can post pictures on Instagram. We do it all the time, but try to keep in mind that if you do post a video, the app is going to be promoting it to more people, sadly. Like they literally design their algorithm now to only favor video. Yeah. So like we've noticed our pictures, and same with our clients, like the amount of likes we would get on them have definitely decreased, whereas our videos are getting a lot more exposure. And videos on Instagram are pretty easy to create. If you're like, I have no idea how to make a video and post it on social media, totally understand it can be overwhelming. The good news is that everyone has hopefully like smartphones today, and you can literally hold up your phone and record yourself, as simple as holding up your phone, recording yourself with a piece of jewelry, say your jewelry company, showing it off, or putting it on you. So you're showing it wearing a necklace. Say, take a quick little video of you wearing a necklace. I love this necklace. Look at it. It's like glistening in the sun. Okay, done. Post it on Instagram. Is it going to be the most amazingly made video ever? No. Corey is like a video expert and makes super high quality videos. And so we are always here if you want that. And it definitely ups your game.
WakeandMakeMedia.com.
WakeandMakeMedia.com. If you go on Instagram or any of these apps and you see like a really high quality video, yes, it might catch your attention a little more, but at the same time, really like organic, simply made content that people do on their own can work just as well. So it really can be as simple as you literally walking down the street talking into your phone or sitting in a chair talking to your phone. That's it.
Absolutely. I edited an ad and it's just a guy walking down the street talking about what he does for weight loss.
And how much did they put into that ad?
$30 million, and it's generated twice that, so it's made $60 million.
I saw the video. It's not the guy's like
on a phone.
No microphone. Like the sound isn't amazing. There's no, you hear a bunch of stuff in the background. It's wobbly.
He's got insightful information, and he recorded on a video, and boom.
That was it. Yeah, I mean, I remember I saw that video, and I was like, it was really informative, and it got me to sign up for that product, which I would never have done if I didn't see Corey editing the video.
Yeah.
So we are wrapping up, but social media we could talk about forever. I feel like we only scratched the surface. We could really honestly do an episode on each app itself. But again, we went over Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Pinterest. The one thing I'll say about TikTok is if you do want to try it, just be consistent. It can reach a lot of people. And again, videos on TikTok can be very simple. It can include you talking to your audience on your phone, posting it. There's a therapist I follow who her and I communicated when I first got on TikTok in like 2017, and she had about like 10 followers, and we talked. I found her profile yesterday. She has 7 million followers now, and
a little bit more.
Yeah, has gotten a book deal. She's probably making millions, and it's literally her sitting in her office at home talking about different like anxiety, depression, etc. It's so simple, and this woman is killing it. So again, that's opportunities you're missing out on if you are not on them. So we hope this was informative.
Real quick,
yes,
I have one thing to say. If you're worried about what kind of content to post,
or that,
look at your competitors. Like check out what they're doing and try to one up them or be more specific than them, or but just get ideas. Brainstorm looking at their stuff. You don't have to start from the ground up. There's other brands out there that you can check out and mimic, and
totally. And we're going to cover more specifically brand identity and how important content is, and we will be going over that in next week's episode.
Very excited.
Until next time, find us at wakeandmakemedia.com. I am Megan Ager,
and I'm Corey Turner,
and have an amazing Friday and weekend.